views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Exploring the Unknown with Rebecca and Shay. Taking stories from today's news, Rebecca and Shay will explore everything from the paranormal, supernatural, the strange and unusual, unsolved mysteries, and more. Join them as they delve deep into the unknown and mysterious, taken from news headlines. Water cooler chat with a paranormal twist. Only on Paranormal Buzz Radio.
All right. Hey, Shay, how's it going?
It is going. I just got over my 3-week quarantine by myself.
Ugh. How's it go?
Yeah, it was just me and the blind cat and the dog, and so it was quite interesting.
Sounds quiet.
It was very quiet, but I also, I ran out of food. I couldn't go anywhere, so Matt came to my rescue and went to the store for me because he's such a great person.
Good.
Yes, so now my mother's here for the first time in over 3 weeks, so we're just hanging out.
That's good.
Yeah, we played Trivial Pursuit last night. Me, Kate, and because Kate's home till February now. From college.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. How you doing?
Good.
Yeah.
Doing good. Yeah. Maria's home from school doing e-learning, which is horrendous. I hate e-learning. She hates e-learning. I hope we never have to do this again.
Right? And my daughter's in college, and she doesn't enjoy it, so...
Right? Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
But it's something. It's better than not doing any learning, I suppose. But
yeah, you gotta take it, It does.
Yep.
I think there's a lot more parents out there after this that will have a new appreciation for teachers.
Oh, for sure.
Yep.
And I think the students will appreciate being in school a little bit more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. Yep. I was going to say something, but I forget. Some things never change, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And anyway, yeah, that's our biggest thing right now is trying to e-learn, which I'll be glad when we see the end of it. So
yes, I know. Ours is, like I told you last week. Our numbers have picked up. We're back to over 400 new cases a day in my small state.
Yeah, we just went back to stage 3, which is not fun, and they're talking about putting us back into a full lockdown, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I have a feeling that might come for us. I know our governor is trying not to, but for the first time since the pandemic started, we now have a mask mandate. We've never had one. Never had one. So, I mean, obviously in businesses, like restaurants and stuff like other people do, but we've never had the governor's orders for a mask mandate. So.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I think there's more cases around here than there have ever been. So.
Here too.
This whole time.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit. You and I that the second coming was going to be worse. So.
Right. Well, because the first go round, I personally barely knew anybody who had it. And now I know a lot of people who have had it. So it's a lot different the second time. But.
Yep. So. Sad.
But we're making it through, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so,
One step at a time.
You just got to be there for your friends and family in any way possible, even if it's not in person. And count your blessings, people.
Oh, for sure. I think this is one thing that's made us a lot more grateful for everything that we've got.
I agree. Or just the opposite. Some people have gone the other route and are now bitchier than ever.
Yeah,
that's just,
I know, personally, I'm purging a lot of stuff. I'm going through and I don't need all this crap. Why do I have all this crap?
Yeah. I'm making the best of it, trying to, anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get on to happier subjects. What story?
Yeah, let's talk about ghosts again.
Yes. What story are we reading today?
This article is on thelineup.com, and it's called Ghost Watch, the BBC Halloween hoax that terrified England.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, it was published May 18th of 2018. This horror special was so disturbing, it was banned for 10 years.
Wow.
Most readers are familiar with the big hoaxes of pop cultural history. There is, of course, Orson Welles' 1938 radio broadcast of The War of the Worlds, a program that, so the story goes, duped and terrified countless listeners. Even the Blair Witch Project stirred up plenty of is it real controversy during its theatrical release in 1999. Far fewer people, however, may know of Ghostwatch, one of the most terrifying and successful faux documentary horror programs in recent memory. If successful is the right word for a show that gave children PTSD, was banned in England for cultivating a sense of menace, and, according to one family, even led to a suicide.
Holy crapola.
Yeah, no kidding. This sounds kind of crazy.
Yes.
Broadcast on Halloween night in 1992. This wasn't even that long ago.
No.
On BBC One, Ghostwatch was given all the trappings of a genuine news show. The cast included familiar TV personalities, quote-unquote live on the street interviews with trick-or-treating youngsters, and a phone-in panel complete with a telephone number that the viewing public could call to discuss paranormal phenomena. The 90-minute program was presented as live television on Halloween night. In fact, it had been shot weeks ago. Its premise was simple. A BBC News team travels to the town of Northolt to conduct an on-air investigation into reportedly haunted residents. There, they learn of a sinister spirit nicknamed Pipes. Pipes is actually the disgruntled ghost of Raymond Tunstall, a troubled man who, according to one phone-in caller, killed himself on the property decades ago and was himself haunted by the spirit of a 19th century child killer named Mother Sedens.
All right.
As the program progresses...
Wait a minute.
Yeah?
My brain is slow. So the ghost was possessed by a ghost?
The guy was possessed by a ghost before he killed himself, I guess.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Sorry. That's weird.
Yeah. He killed himself on the property. He was possessed by a ghost, and now he is a ghost. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, as the program progresses, the paranormal activity gets more intense. To their horror, the newscasters realize that by taping the proceedings, they have inadvertently created a nationwide seance. Not sure that's how seances work, but okay.
Right.
The malevolent spirit feeds off this energy, growing in power. In Ghostwatch's terrifying final act, one host is dragged screaming behind a door, another is possessed, and Pipes infiltrates the transmitter network of BBC studios. Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, 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 as Shay would say.
Somewhere around 1 million viewers tuned into Ghostwatch on Halloween night.
I'm blind, but doesn't that say 11 million?
Yeah, 11 months. You're right.
All right.
I'll reread it. Somewhere around 11 million viewers tuned into Ghostwatch on Halloween night. Many were traumatized. Viewers flooded the BBC with angry phone calls for British news outlets chastened the broadcaster for its disturbing program and the way in which they presented it. Then, in the week after Ghostwatch aired, an 18-year-old named Martin Denham was hanged himself. His father said that he had watched the show and was obsessed with it, convinced that there was a ghost living in the pipes of their Nottingham home. He left behind a note saying that if there were actually ghosts like those depicted in Ghostwatch, he'd be back to see his parents.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
So even though, in case anybody... So the show is not real, but the suicide was real. This one.
The suicide was real. Yeah.
And let's be honest. This isn't probably why he killed himself, but this might have been the thing that pushed him over the edge.
Apparently.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, obviously he had other stuff going on before this point, but
yeah,
sad, very sad.
Very.
Just over a year after the show was broadcast, doctors began coming forward with the results of children suffering from PTSD as a result of seeing Ghostwatch.
First of all, okay, can we pause? Why are children watching something like this?
Parents are not always bright about these sort of things.
But you know how many parents let their children, if there's that many cases of PTSD from watching this?
Oh, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, or maybe they thought it was the news. I mean, maybe they really thought it was real. And then,
would you still let your young children watch it if the news was real, that this was going on?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think about like 9/11 and that sort of stuff. I mean, we let our kids watch that to some extent, anyway. I mean, I know
my kids were too young. Yeah.
Yeah.
My oldest was
we
5.
turned it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But actually, now that you bring that up, young children actually have PTSD from watching footage of 9/11.
Right. So, yeah, it's probably a similar type thing.
Yep.
Huh. Okay, so 3 years now after the show first aired, the Broadcasting Standards Council of the UK convened a hearing and concluded that the show had set out to intentionally cultivate a sense of menace. Ghostwatch was never shown on the BBC again and was basically unavailable to watch anywhere legally until 2002. Not that stopped some from watching the show or talking about it. Indeed, Ghostwatch's banning, combined with the public outcry it caused, and Martin Denham's suicide, sealed the fate of the program. It was now a real-life horror story whispered about on playgrounds, a phantom bootleg copy seen by a friend of a friend of a friend. When the British Film Institute released Ghostwatch on DVD in 2002, after years during which it was unavailable to watch illegally, Denham's parents spoke out against the decision, claiming that the show caused their son's death. Despite their disapproval, Ghostwatch was released.
Well, I'm going to say I am truly sorry for their loss, and I'm not going to address the suicide anymore in this broadcast. Doesn't matter why. I'm sorry for their loss. But that aside, there's no easy segue into this. The fact that it was banned, of course people want to watch it.
Well, yeah, I think almost releasing it is better than making it banned, because when you ban something like that, they're going to try and go out and find it and watch it. Whereas if you just release it, then they watch it and they're like, yeah, that was dumb, and move on.
Even I'm like, it's banned, I want to see it.
Right, exactly. I think part of what made the show so menacing was having it on live TV. So, 10 years later and having it on a tape or a DVD or whatever takes away that that sense of fear that they were creating. So,
well, that, and of course, a friend of a friend of a friend saw it is always worse. It's like that telephone game.
oh, yeah, exactly. Like, you know, the whole story of the Ring movie or whatever it is, the DVD that gets passed around in the back rooms and, you know, yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Well, fast forward to the present day, and Ghostwatch is now available on the horror-themed streaming service Shudder. Surprisingly, it still holds up as an effective piece of found footage horror. Even knowing the program's staged nature, there is a reality to Ghostwatch. A matter of fact, the escalating things. Perhaps because the haunting featured on the program is based on the case of the Enfield poltergeist, a real-life paranormal event from 1977 that also served as an inspiration for the 2016 horror hit The Conjuring 2. No doubt director James Wan was familiar with the infamous BBC special. That may certainly be a part of it, but a huge portion of the power of Ghostwatch comes from its credibility. In a world glutted with found footage horror flicks, too few of them have the feel of real artifacts. Even when we know that they're manufactured, Ghostwatch has that feeling in spades and no doubt influenced other films that have similarly tried shenanigans over the years, such as 2013's low-budget WNUF Halloween special, which takes its taped-off TV premises to such lengths that it actually includes ginned up, I don't know what that means, ginned up, regional commercials as part of its running time.
Faked, like faked up, faked.
Yeah. Commercials, added in fake commercials. Interesting. Yeah. It's rare to watch something that haunted viewers so completely as Ghostwatch did in 1992. When we do, we are often disappointed. Not so here, where even stripped of its legendary status and simply viewed as a piece of horror filmmaking, Ghostwatch stands as an underseen classic of the found footage genre.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is. It reminds me of the first thing I thought of was War of the Worlds, which was a radio broadcast. People, if you like before TVs, radio broadcast people thought it was real, and there was a big freak out. But it also reminds me of Paranormal Activity, and like they said, Blair Witch.
And Blair Witch, yeah, exactly. Those are the ones that it reminds me of. Like War of the Worlds, of course, is the famous one. I think everybody's heard of that, but.
Do you remember when Paranormal Activity, the movie, came out, the first one? People really thought that was real, too.
Right, and Blair Witch. People, there were... Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a genre, for sure.
Yeah. What do they call it? Found footage genre?
Yeah. Isn't that Cloverfield kind of like that, too?
Yeah.
Found footage type thing. Yeah. But, yeah, I think the interesting part is that they claim it holds up. I mean, stuff like that, you know, even watching, like, some of the Star Wars special effects now don't look as good as they did when you watched them the first time. And so the idea that you could watch this one 10 years
later,
almost 20 years
impressive.
Later now.
20, yeah.
92?
Yeah.
Almost, 92, almost 20 years later, and have it still, you know.
We are old. 1992, people. That was before Friends came out. So think of how Friends was shot, and this still holds water, the way they shot it. That's crazy.
Yeah, that does seem kind of crazy to me.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, because, like, War of the Worlds, I mean, to listen to that, which I have, I mean, it just...
Oh, you have?
I
never have.
It. Yeah, I mean, it's a recorded like a radio broadcast thing, but
right.
I don't know, maybe because we don't have radio broadcasts like that anymore, it doesn't seem real, but
for the time,
I don't know.
People missed the beginning, and they didn't like say it every so often. So anybody that missed the beginning thought it was a real news broadcast and went into hysterias. Send me, if you remember, tell me how to find it. I would love to listen to it.
If I remember, I'm trying to remember even when I listened to it. It's been a long time since I have. If I figure it out, I'll let you know.
Yeah, I would love to. This is kind of the same, not the same at the same time. The Exorcist, when that came out. In theaters, look at how many people got sick and scared and...
Oh, yeah, and look at how many exorcisms were performed after that and stuff, you know? Yeah. And that one, too, is based on a real story, which, I think... Yeah. When you base stuff on real stories like that, it sometimes carries the note that you can't just make up, you know?
Speaking of true stories, the Haunting of Emily Rose. Have you seen that?
No, I have not.
First of all,
although I've heard of it.
Great movie. I loved it. But that's based off of a real story. I believe it's Annalise Michaels. It's a weird... I've heard the audio. I've heard the real audio from that. Holy crap.
Yeah, that...
And you don't hear me saying that much.
I haven't listened to the audio, but...
Oh, I have.
I've read... That's crazy. That was a crazy possession. And
I have them saved somewhere. And I can send them to you, but... you do not hear me say this a lot about paranormal or at all. They creeped me out. Oh my God. Like, I shared them on my page once and I, like, big warning. Like, these are bad. It's crazy. Yeah.
Just kind of, like I said, when you base stuff off of the real stories like that, there's something about that just transcends things a little bit better, and some stuff you just can't make up.
No, you can't. On that note, guys, we are running out of time. We went a little bit over today. No surprise there. But you guys, it happens. My mouth, I keep talking. But in case they don't know, Rebecca, where should people send stories they want us to cover?
Exploring the Unknown with Rebecca and Shay, the Facebook group.
Yes, yeah. And if you send us a story and we cover it, we will give you a special shout out. And if you have any questions or anything, that's where all these stories are posted.
If you've actually seen this movie, let us know. I would be curious to see somebody who'd actually watched it, if it was really as good as they're saying, or if they're just trying to make you buy Shudder to watch it.
It is hard to tell. Then again, I'm a skeptical, cold-hearted person, so I always second-guess everything.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. All right, guys, we will see you next time. Thank you for listening.
Yep, thanks, guys.